Hi guys, welcome back to Dev Astrology. Today we are going to be talking about the annual 2025 reading, and this is for the sign of Virgos. You can watch this reading both from an ascendant rising Virgo perspective or moon Virgo perspective as well. And that should be helpful. I hope it gives clarity with so many of you trying to understand that particular question. Well, 2025 is going to be a very interesting year and hopefully a very positive year for you guys, Virgos, because some of the key transits are going to be happening this year, major ones and very productive ones, it seems like for you guys for sure. First and foremost, we see one of the major transits of Saturn moving into the sign of Pisces. Then you have the transit of Rahu and Ketu, with Rahu moving into the sign of Aquarius and its Rashi, while Ketu is going to be moving into the sign of Leo. Then you have the transit of Jupiter. Jupiter gets Atichari this year, which means it's going to be moving in a very fast-paced motion, traversing from one sign to another. It is starting from Taurus, it moves into Gemini and jumps into its sign of exaltation and the sign of Cancer at the later part of the year. And why I say Atichari? Because Jupiter tends to spend about a year or so every sign it traverses to. However, this year it seems to be in a rush. It is a rare movement that is happening, and it is going to happen for all of us. Whilst for Virgos, it happens from the 9th to the 11th house. So pretty interesting movement for all those spaces. But these are not only the three transits that are going to coming into play, but also a major impact that you are going to see with the transits of Venus as well as Mars as we see throughout the course of the year. Whilst Venus is going to get in a sign of exaltation for a major part of the year, Mars continues from its sign of debilitation back to Gemini, comes back to the sign of Cancer, and then it moves into Leo and further as we move through the course of the year. So guys, let's move ahead and understand that how the months and these transits of the planets are going to be impacting you. Now, the first and foremost thing that you observe is that Venus, being the lord of your second house and your ninth house, is going to come into your seventh house in its sign of exaltation, where for approximately 110 days, it is going to be sitting in conjunction with Rahu. That is very interesting. And I know for Virgos, with the Rahu and Ketu axis in 1 and 7, I haven't been very happy and productive about the predictions that I've been making over different monthly readings. But this is going to be a game changer, because your second lord and ninth lord coming into seventh house and exaltation means it is doing an 11 places movement from ninth. Lord of your fortune and destiny coming into exaltation in seventh. Definitely you are going to see some positive movement with respect to your business, with respect to your marital bliss, with respect to the gains that you are going to derive from your destiny, from your fortune, maybe in partnership with your spouse. And that is the beautiful thing that is going to happen. And the reason I say it is going to be so important is that this Venus is sitting in conjunction with Rahu, and that means some major explosion, some major expansion. But it can also bring in its treacherous behavior, because Venus in exaltation in seventh can be tricky with respect to the marital bliss in itself. Why am I saying such counterintuitive and confusing thought processes at the same breath? The reason is that it can be tricky for your marriage. It can bring in certain scenarios of extramarital affairs, of getting involved outside the marriage, of pursuing some of those things which are rather frowned upon. However, having said this, I see for my audience a lot of positivity, because I believe my audience will be ruling their planets, they'll be ruling their charts, and they will be controlling their emotions, keeping themselves directed in the right direction for the course of the year. And if you are able to do that, my friends, you are going to observe positive outcomes of this conjunction, positive outcomes of this transit. Because then what you figure out is that you are going to find some business expansion in your life. It is the lord of your second house as well, the lord of your money, which is coming into seventh. So I see definitive expansion in business. I see growth in your profession. I see you doing larger deals with respect to your enterprise. And if you are not running any enterprise, if you are married and listening to this, I see you getting into a situation where you could definitely get married as well. There is an exchange of Jupiter, which is the lord of your seventh, with Venus during this period. And this Jupiter is sitting in your ninth house, in your house of fortune itself. So that's a beautiful exchange, because this is our double Kendra Trikon connection of this Jupiter, because this Jupiter is also the lord of your fourth. along with being the lord of your seventh and setting into the ninth house. So I see positivity all around from that angle as well. As you start from Jan 27th onwards and this transit comes into play, there is a chance that you will see some gains coming in your way, and automatically, without you pursuing them, you will find that you are going to rise. You are going to get public adulation coming in your way. People will respect you for your achievements, and that is going to continue. However, as we move ahead with the months, we are going to observe that in the month of March, around 29th of March, if my dates are correct, Saturn, being the lord of your fifth and sixth house, is going to be moving into seventh. Now, this is where, when I referred to some treacherous movement with respect to marriage, it can be a tricky bit because sixth lord is coming into seventh. It is coming into the sign of Pisces. Saturn doesn't have any inimical situation in this sign, but remember, Saturn is going to be conjunct with not just Venus, but also with Rahu. And that is where some of you might find turbulences coming in your marriage, some sort of situations, litigations, medical situations might creep up in your marriage to your spouse, to your partner, or in your married life itself. It could also result in certain kind of a damage coming in to your business prospects. But the same Saturn is also the lord of your fifth. So you will have to see the dignity of this Saturn in your natal chart. You will have to see the dashas and antardashas that you are running in your natal chart to correctly understand what is the kind of impact you will face, because it could also bring the possibility of love translating into marriage. It could result into blossoming of that love into another level, into the next level of relationships, from your romance culmination into marriage as well. So that is another possibility that might come into play, but with some sort of an adverse situation, with some sort of a medical problem, with some sort of an expense, and then it translates into a positive outcome as Rahu moves out, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But that is going to be a very crucial aspect. Whilst Jupiter is sitting here, it is going to be aspecting your Lagna, your third and your fifth house. So it's a beautiful aspect. We've been talking about this month over month for you guys, Virgos, but both Rahu and Venus will be giving an aspect to your Lagna where Ketu is sitting. But as Saturn moves in, you also see that there is an aspect of the Saturn on your Jupiter as well. So there will be some level of slowness. There will be some level of mental pain, trouble, issues, sensitive matters that might prop up, and you will have to address them. You might have to end up making certain kind of expenses with respect to changes in your home environment as well. That is another possibility. It is also possible that you might want to make a big purchase, expense in terms of buying a luxury car, some kind of luxurious asset that you might want to acquire, and that all of those things are going to happen. Remember, folks, the Pisces sign is going to be so much impacted around this period, because you will find not just the presence of Rahu, Venus, and Saturn, but Mercury and Sun somewhere around this period will also be transiting in your same house itself. So your seventh house, your house of public life, your marriage, your business, all of them are going to be at a high level of visibility, and you have to be on your toes to make sure. See, when positive things are happening, when too many energies are culminating in one place, you have to be careful as to how you are addressing them, overcoming them, especially with Ketu sitting in your Lagna. But then as we move into the month of May, what happens is that now this Jupiter transits into your 10th house. It's the Karaka of 10th house. It's the Karaka of profession. And it's going to be aspecting his own house as well, the 4th house. So good movement from your career perspective, good movement from your karma perspective. You will realize that the 7th lord moving into 10th, the 4th lord moving into 10th is going to draw your attention towards your business aspects, towards your career aspects, towards your overall goals. And that is going to be a positive movement, but it is a short-lived movement. Jupiter sitting in from here will be aspecting your 6th house as well as your 2nd house, which means that if you are not in a business but in a job profession, this could be the period where you could find certain gains in the form of a promotion. It could be a career change. It could be a career switch coming in your way, a role change in itself. Shift of pieces is another possibility that will be triggered in 2025 for you guys. Virgos, you have to understand 2025 is the year of Mars. It's the year of number 9. So it's going to be all fast-paced energies coming into motion for you, and you will have to live, breathe, and work in that momentum itself. As we move ahead, we observe that in the later half or the last week of May itself, the transit of Rahu and Ketu will be coming into play, with Rahu now shifting itself out of your 7th house to 6th, whilst Ketu coming into 12th. This is a beautiful movement. You guys have been in so much pain with Ketu and Rahu in this axis, but finally the relief is coming your way, Virgos, because Rahu, I love when it is in the 6th and Ketu in 12th. It brings in that level of spirituality in you. It brings in that level of awareness in you. That level of upliftment comes into play, and Rahu is going to give you the energy to fight the demons, whether internal or external. So you are going to overcome your enemies. You are going to overcome your challenges. You are going to fight harder, be street smart, smooth at your workplace as well, because this Rahu is giving an aspect to your 10th house as well. It is aspecting your second as well. So it is going to help expand your savings too. Remember, this aspect of Rahu is in the sign of Libra. So it is going to be a positive aspect in your second house. You are going to start increasing your savings from the second half of the year. But things do not die here, folks, because Jupiter is going to make another transit, yet another transit in the year, in the month of October, when it moves into its sign of exaltation in your 11th house. Beautiful Virgos. What else could you ask for? Like after Taurus, I think this is one of the best readings that I'm imagining for Virgos coming into play here for the year 2025, because now in its sign of exaltation, you are going to expand on those gains. You are going to fulfill your desires, your wishes that you've been planning for. Jupiter is the lord of your 7th and 4th. So I see many of you gaining with respect to contribution through your spouse, from your mother, them helping you in achieve your goals, them helping you push to gain that momentum. This Jupiter is going to be giving then an aspect to your 3rd house, to your 5th house, and to your 7th house as well. So marital bliss will now be under control. You will find your romances blossoming again. You will find that your investments are giving you the right results as well. You have to stick into a right investment strategy, right creative pursuits as well throughout the course of the year, and do not drop the ball. Do not drop your guards through the course of the year if you feel that the results are not coming out. Because you will find by the end of the last quarter, or by the time you approach the last quarter of 2025, you will start reaping the benefits of that itself, and it will start panning out in the way you've desired it for. Now, from an efforts energy perspective, there will be few periods, especially at the start of the year, when you feel a bit of a lull. That energy might be missing in you, but I again would want to emphasize this is going to be a crucial, critical, positive year for you folks. So you should not be filling yourself with lethargy. In fact, the Saturn is expecting you to work hard. The Saturn's aspect now is going to be continuously on your Lagna, looking at you. And my dog is screaming. Maybe he's expecting me to take him out for a walk. But coming back to what Saturn desires you to do is to fight your inner self in terms of letting go of that lethargy and see that you are able to push yourself harder, because that is what is expected with the continuous transit of Jupiter, with Saturn's aspect directed to your Lagna being present in the 7th house. Justice is expected from you, from your marital relationships perspective, from your partnerships perspective, from your conduct to the world perspective. And if you are able to address all these aspects, this Jupiter will reward you. Why? Because Saturn is sitting in the sign of Jupiter. You understand how things are panning out for you? Last but not the least, the presence of Ketu in your 12th, it is going to ignite that level of spirituality. It is going to ignite that level of self-awareness. Yes, you might have to take certain long duration journeys as well. You might have to travel away from your home. That is very much probable. I would want you to take care of your mother's health during the course of this year, because that can be a tricky situation for many of you Virgos. So keep that in mind. And this Ketu is also going to be giving an aspect to your 8th house. So energies with respect to occult, with respect to doing research, people who want to pursue PhD, especially want to travel abroad and pursue education in different countries, which is MS or Masters plus PhD doctorate level education, they will be able to find the right outcomes during the course of the second half of the year. So I hope the 2025 analysis has made sense. If you would want to understand that how your natal chart in combination with this transit is going to impact you, feel free to reach out to me on my email or on my Instagram DM. Details are all on my channel. And I hope you have a fruitful, fighting, amazing, beautiful 2025. If you've enjoyed this reading, guys, smash on that like button and subscribe to Dev Astrology. Om Namah Shivaya.